Welcome back to another episode of THORGIWEEN Comics. Remember, all month long, we're taking a look at new spooky comics that you can go into your local comic shop and find right now. And today, we're turning to a new series from Image Comics that's only on issue 3, which just came out today. So you can still easily find all these issues if you're interested. The series I'm talking about is Redlands. It's a very interesting series because issue number 1 establishes a certain setting, tone, and storyline. Then issue 2 jumps ahead by 40 years. Yeah, even if I wasn't a fan of horror, I'd gladly stop to applaud a book that's willing to pull a move as surprising as that. It certainly kept me on my toes. But it opens up with a police station in Redlands, Florida in 1977, and outside the station is a tree engulfed in flames with 3 empty nooses swinging in the wind. Okay, right off the bat, that's a hell of a page 1. Instantly, I was intrigued to see what was going to happen in this book. The rest of the first issue is these police officers trapped inside the station, and we learn that they have just tried to kill 3 witches, only for it to not go as expected. In fact, apparently, they've been trying to hunt these witches down for a while because these cops are pretty corrupt and have been ruling this town with fear, arresting people left and right, abusing their power, and these witches basically decided, okay, enough is enough. The rest of the first issue is these witches tearing this station apart, and it's legitimately terrifying. They don't do cartoony witch things like turn them into frogs or zap them with lightning. No, they slice through them like a hot knife through butter. Immediately, they let you know these guys aren't making it out alive. They are trapped in here, and you feel the terror that they feel. You feel that feeling of, you will not survive. However, these witches then declare themselves the new law. They let the town know they're running things now. And I was very interested in seeing where this would go. But then, as I said, issue 2 jumps ahead 40 years. And now, the witches have been working as the sheriffs of this town for all that time, and the town loves it. They look up to them as heroes. In fact, many of the residents of this town don't even remember what things were like before they came into power. Again, this is a very shocking turn for this series to think. I think it establishes an amazing setting. I mean, watching these witches try to rebuild this town is interesting. But seeing a town that has grown up under the control of these witches and has accepted it and loves them for that, that's actually a very new type of story. Now, you might be thinking, oh, so only the first issue was a horror book because the second issue doesn't sound like one. I thought the same thing too. I thought, oh, okay, so it's just a story about how well witches run a town. Got it. Until a murder mystery gets introduced that makes you realize they're throwing in a slasher element into this supernatural setting. But that doesn't compare to a twist that comes towards the end of the second issue that made me perk up and really get invested. I will not spoil it, but I read the second issue thinking, oh, okay, so the witches are pure heroes. Got it. And then the witches do something that made total sense and yet totally took me by surprise that made me realize, nope, still witches. So this book has a great setting, a totally original concept, and the characters and the story are written in a way that can best be described as haunting. This is by Jordie Bellaire, who is a very well-established colorist in the comic book industry. In fact, she's one of the most famous colorists out there, having won multiple awards, but this is the first thing that she's ever written, and she's a natural. This type of story is right up her alley. And the art from Vanessa Del Rey, who I always liked, but I always thought hadn't hit her real potential yet. Like, I always thought, this is good, but given the right book, I think it could be amazing. And yeah, this is the right book. This is the book she was born to draw. And as I said, Jordie Bellaire is a famous colorist, and she pulls out those talents in this book in addition to writing it, and she makes everything that Del Rey draws have that perfect creepy tone to it. As I said, the first issue was set in one location as the victims were trapped inside. Truly a horrifying setting, and Del Rey and Bellaire both work hand in hand to make every single shot in that issue just terrifying and loaded with tension. So yes, Redlands, still brand new, and I'm loving every single issue of it so far. Check it out at your local comic shop or on Comixology. And remember to come back next week as we talk about another spooky comic, and tune in for all the other THORGIWEEN shows as we talk about scary movies, shows, and games all month long. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy Halloween.